Welcome to Reanimated. Pull up a chair and get cozy by the fire for this deep depths of winter, the winter solstice episode of Reanimated, where me, Stuart, and my co-host H.A. Conrad, hello H.A.
Hello.
Hello. We'll walk through two more episodes of Walking Dead, Dead City for our sins. Actually, I don't think these two were as bad as the first two.
I don't know. I don't know. I may disagree with you on that.
Jury's still out. Well, here we go. And there's like no news because I think of this time of year and, well, probably a lot of reasons. But the one news article that we're going to talk about today comes from Undead Walking. And it's a sort of a listicle about what the three best zombie shows are on Netflix right now and one to skip. And I disagree with their skip, but the three that they say you should watch are The Walking Dead Prime, which I would say you could definitely skip a few seasons of that.
They're not exactly specific in this, and they should probably be a little more specific, no?
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to say all of The Walking Dead is a watch, all 11 seasons. I mean, but they also do throw in Black Summer, which, of course, everybody except for Netflix apparently agrees that it was a great show.
I know, right?
And All of Us Are Dead with the first season and one on the way. And then the one that they say is to skip is Resident Evil, which granted it wasn't like 100%, but it was pretty good.
Mm. I'm also, I know we've talked just like very, very a tiny bit about Pluribus. Have you been watching it alone, or are you waiting till to binge it?
I keep watching it. I watch an episode and then I'm not feeling that compelled to keep watching it. I don't know what it is. I can
Oh,
tell it's a good
interesting.
show. It's interesting and all. Uh yeah.
Um, I've been really enjoying it, and there's some sort of detailed things that they went into in the last episode just about in the last couple of episodes, like the reality of what this new kind of planet looks like that I thought you might find pretty compelling. So I would love to talk about it with you at some point, though not necessarily on the show.
Okay. Well, what
Um,
number how many episodes are there?
I think this was episode 7.
Okay. I think I'm like 3 or 4 in.
Um, I think that part of what I am enjoying about it, aside from the fact that it's a slow burn, I think the acting is impeccable, and just some of the real issues or ways that um, just the way that this world is working because of what's happened is really interesting to me, and the thought that went into that is interesting, and then also the way that the characters, like different characters, react to it is very interesting. So it I'll admit to you, I was kind of feeling the same way that you were, and then but there's also like a compelling piece to it that makes me want to keep watching and see what happens. And so it even in just in thinking about how the main character Carol is interacting with this other character, which is essentially the world, and imagining it in that framework is kind of a cool thing. So I'm not pressuring you, but I would like to hear what you think if you make it through it.
Yeah, I'll continue to give it a shot. Your recommendation, is heavily weighted, obviously, in my esteem. I think I remember when I first tried to watch Breaking Bad, I couldn't really get down with the first season at first. Like it took a while of making myself go back to it to start to learn to enjoy it more. And maybe that's just my relationship with Vince Gilligan. I don't know. And then the Carol character, I find her just like, yeah, difficult to spend time with.
I do too, but I also think that that's deliberate.
Yeah,
And
but I mean that affects my like immediate level of enjoyment. That I mean, if I'm not feeling compelled to turn on this show that is there and like shouting at me from Apple TV and like I don't know, like is that on me? No, not
um,
really.
I think okay. I think the thing about her character that is really interesting and compelling is that you definitely are not seeing who she actually is in a like her acting out and her sort of interactions. Yes, that's a little bit of who she is, but there's also a lot of other subtle other things going on, and I think she plays it incredibly well. And so I definitely try to get to episode 7 and then let's talk. I may change my mind completely because I think it's only like 9 episodes or something like that. So
Hmm.
if they can't get to where I really need them to, I may change my mind. But I would say this past episode, I was like, oh, I think I need to talk to Stuart about this one.
Oh,
So,
okay. I don't want to leave you hanging.
okay.
I'll get there and we can talk about it. That would
Okay.
be good.
But
But
back to the actual things that we're talking about.
for
Um,
today, we are talking about episodes 3 and 4 of season 2 of Dead City. These episodes are entitled "Why Did the Mainlanders Cross the River?" which was not a particularly great line in this
oh,
episode. And then the second one is called "Feisty Friendly,"
mm,
which I don't remember when they said that, but they've generally been saying these lines.
yeah, that's when the um Bruegel character says it. That's like part of the entertainment. Um,
Yeah, and so these are both directed by the same director, Edward Ornelas, and then written. This one, the first one, or the third episode rather, is written by Brenna Koof. Could be Kauf. This is a flashback heavy episode in that Walking Dead tradition of characters, usually Daryl Dixon,
yep,
staring into the middle distance and just like bodily being transported back in time.
I know.
And Herschel has a few of those this episode.
Yep. There's some things that were
Yeah.
revealed in this episode, in these episodes, but specifically the next episode. Um, but yeah. And some things that were not revealed in this one specifically. So let's talk about that. I wonder if they're waiting for something later on, but we'll see.
Are you
Uh,
talking about the monster in the park?
yeah.
Yeah. They are really dragging that out.
Mhm.
They had me thinking, oh, it's a rhinoceros because of the way that they were displaying bodies in this episode. But
Yeah.
then it turned out, nope, that's something else entirely.
I was
Yeah.
really hoping it would be like a hippo
Like,
and that it's like a hippo living in the lake or something, or there's like a bunch of them
that'd
because
be
they're pretty
cool.
vicious.
Yeah,
Um, and that would be funny, but it's we don't know yet.
we don't. What we do know is that Herschel, as prisoner of Dama, and we're starting to learn a little bit more about Dama and her ability to manipulate and take power over people. I'd still say it's still not totally believable because she's
Yeah,
a
and
pretty
even
frail old lady.
and even less so after we talk about episode 4. So, um, yeah, but
But she apparently has this power over most people, so far just men. In this case, a boy, Herschel, and probably to some extent the Croat. Definitely the Croat, because he talks about sort of his origin with her. Um, so we see her immediately start to manipulate Herschel by doing the good cop thing, coming in and offering him a jacket and candy and taking off his releasing his binds. I don't know. It this episode, I think they kind of go through the whole process of that, right?
it's very much she's playing good cop,
Yeah.
and I mean, I guess this is at the sort of fundamental, like the foundation of what I don't like is that I just don't find it believable that Herschel would be this vulnerable to this kind of manipulation.
I mean,
Um,
you see how Maggie is around him. I think she's been very protective.
she has been, but it's not like he's been living. He's seen a lot of different things, Herschel,
I
and
think he can take care of himself with zombies, but I don't think Maggie
maybe
has
not
let him
with human.
really, yeah, I don't think with humans so much.
All right, I guess that's fair. Um, but I mean, and maybe it backfired because I know that she has talked to him a lot about, Negan and he is aware, but maybe it's different witnessing it versus hearing about it, I guess. Um, but anyway, he seems even okay, even if he is vulnerable to it, he seems to bite into this apple a little too quickly, in my opinion. But okay, cool. So this woman is being very, I mean, she's grooming him essentially. This is what this feels like.
Hmm.
And it's kind of what it is. And um, you know,
Let's just
basic,
talk through this whole plot line here because it's several scenes of flashbacks that we he gets to experience throughout this episode.
right.
And it goes from just like the little creature comforts to then like honestly the most diabolically manipulative part of this is where he eventually like leaves his cell because she keeps leaving his door open
Yep.
as time goes by, and then she has released zombies into the halls, like in a way. This is after the Croat has given his little speech about everything she does is to try and make you a better person, and so you're like, oh, okay, so she's trying to like toughen him up a little, but he's quite capable. But she does come in and save his life, and
Well, I
it's
also thought it was deliberate for that, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like all of this feels very, and I kind of like this in terms of writing her character. That's her superpower is just like making people feel like she is everything. And you can see it happening with Herschel here. I will say though that the end result of this, when she takes him to quote unquote his room that she's designed for him, which is an elevator, and then the point of this room is that he has a view of the city, and that well, this is what she tells him, that he will be the visionary slash architect who will redesign the new New York for her.
Yeah, this seems a little ridiculous.
It's
And he,
absurd. Like what? I mean, obviously, it's so absurd that it could be the show messing with. It's Dama messing with Herschel, but also it's kind of messing with us because we're like, what?
yeah. And I couldn't, part of me was like, is she just inviting him to be part of her team and saying that he can be part of that? And he's so starved for that kind of like attention in that way, which he's not getting. I mean, I will say the one piece that does make sense to me is that she is interacting with him as if he's important and like an adult
Yeah,
versus this kid, which is his biggest thing that he chafes against.
and
So
which
I
is
can
how
get
Herschel for
that.
Maggie for sure takes care of
Yeah.
him. The one thing I think is kind of interesting about his character, the way he's being written in these two episodes, is he feels like one of these kid characters from Station 11, the ones who don't really remember pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Do you remember those plot
Yeah. Yeah.
lines? Yeah. And then they would judge the older adults around them as like carrying all their trauma around and inflicting it on everybody around them. And that's kind of what Herschel's thesis seems to be here too. He's like all this old world stuff is, I mean, that's more in the fourth episode, but I thought that that's a pretty interesting place to take his character.
Well, and I think that this is a theme though, because we see a few different people mention this. It's not just Herschel. Pearlie mentions it in the next episode.
Yeah,
So
but I think it's like in response to something that Herschel has said to him. But yeah, it's true.
it is, but there's interaction between, and we see that. But there's also something that, and forgive me, I cannot remember the name of the main leader of the little ragtail band
Because
that
they
they're
haven't really, it's Narvaez, but she was mentioned once by name in
right.
all four episodes we've watched.
But she says something like this too. So anyway, but we've got Herschel, and this gives us at least a little bit more. I mean, I would say a little bit more insight into why he's so focused on coming back to the city, why he's now so dedicated to Dama, though it is such, to me, this is still a really short time to be this brainwashed in this way. But apparently
Yeah,
he,
we don't really know how much time he was there, do we?
yeah. Um, so anyway, like this gives us that insight. I will say Maggie is not dumb and she does definitely already suspect um things about him. And the weird thing about this is that I kind of think that she would just kind of cut and run with him if she really thought that this was the case. I just don't see her continuing into this weird journey if she's got a suspicion because I mean her instinct is always to protect him, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't feel to me this like continued journey for this other side quest, or at least to her it's a side quest, doesn't make sense to me because her primary is always him.
This is a great point. This is like actually a show killing point that you're making. Because why would she continue to go with them? She could leave them, and the odds are that Pearlie and Narvaez would, and the rest of them would all get themselves killed.
Right.
pretty high actually, because it's Maggie's connection to Negan and all this that is like giving them the breadcrumbs that they apparently think they need to continue their search for methane.
Yeah.
I think the showrunners really missed
It missed the
missed
mark here,
missed the
right?
mark there, because yeah, like she doesn't like Pearly enough to put her son in danger for him now that the governor's dead. 50 of the soldiers that they came with are dead, and there's what, like 12 left after they go through
Yeah.
the tall grass.
Yeah. And also, can we talk about this whole thing? Like, so, we knew that they were going to use this whole big elephant grass crazy thing in Central Park. We knew they were going to use it in some way. Um, what are we supposed to assume that it's the monster pulling the people under or the zombies? Because the zombies are doing some
Yeah.
weird stuff, if
Those
that's true.
first three people who get
They
grabbed,
get yanked like
they
in a
they get
weird
grabbed
way.
by like a, yeah, it's way too much force, and then they're just dead immediately as soon as they get yanked away. They're not screaming.
Right.
They're just gone.
It feels
Yeah,
like kind of weird.
it's cheesy. It's just like, oh, this is horror. But then the problem is that it flies in the face of what we know is what the zombies are. And then the next thing we see is, I think it's a drone shot of a bunch of zombies closing in on them and moaning and walking really slowly. And you're like, yeah, that's what they do. They don't
Right.
they don't do this thing where they pull your feet out from under you and kill you in less than a second.
I mean, if it was that they were like somehow in the ground and grabbing at them, fine, but like that is not the motion that we were seeing. It was
No.
almost like a croc pulling somebody underwater, right?
Yeah, it
Like that's
was,
how it felt.
they were
Um,
making some weird choices there to like amp up the drama or the tension, but
maybe.
like honestly, the woman getting eaten by the zombie that had just been stuck in that tree was
Mhm.
way more realistic, even though it was just
Right,
there silently and then leapt into action.
right. So I was a little disappointed because I expected a little more from that particular scene. But the upshot of all this is that Herschel and Ginny gets the group gets separated.
Yeah.
Um, And then we have Herschel having eventually a special moment with somebody that, is dressed in these like, you know, is definitely of a different group of people. We also have Maggie and her group kind of like they end up kind of reuniting and Ginny ends up with them. And so
Everybody except for Herschel stays together, which
yeah,
seems
like
insane to me,
how does that
because
happen?
they're all screaming and running around in the tall grass, but nobody can hear each other for some reason. Like when Herschel starts calling out for his mom and she's calling out for him, I don't understand how they can't hear each other.
And also how more zombies don't come into the fray because you're being so freaking loud. So, you know.
And so the same people who are the faction that the most of the folks end up with, Joan, this one who she's not named because she barely even speaks in the show, but the younger, like the teenager who saves Herschel's life, apparently then just does not put like lead him toward the camp or toward everybody else, and he ends up just off by himself somewhere
Right.
to have another flashback, um, and eventually have an interaction with the girl, and then a Barazzi guy.
Yeah.
Because apparently the Barazzi have been sent in to find the new Babylonians, which I find weird because the Croat just said in the last episode that anybody who goes in there doesn't come out.
Right. Like I figured they'd just be waiting in on the edges trying to get anybody coming out, but apparently yeah, it seems a little bit weird and far-fetched that they're actually foraying into the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
But we meet this Barazzi lieutenant called Waylon, but we know Waylon's not going to last long because he gets a speaking line and he says something that Negan doesn't agree with, and then he goes off with Negan on a reconnaissance mission.
I mean, I'd argue here the Crut definitely knows that that dude is not coming back, right? Like it feels like that. So, um, so anyway, they're going into the park. And also this also seems a little bit weird, again, storytelling wise. The Croat is the one that betrayed Negan to the Dama lady, and even Negan saying, "I'm gonna find whoever it is and like kill them." Like the Croat totally doesn't believe him, or I don't think he does. And so, I mean, I guess he's just waiting for it to play out. Maybe that's it, but. it all just feels a little silly to me. Um, like, why are you going to let him give him like a lot of length on that leash, right? Maybe
Yeah.
he's just toying with him, which I guess the crowd does play the long game, so we've seen that. So maybe, but just felt a little weird that he would just only send one dude with him versus multiple, or just basically, say, no, we've got it handled, right?
Yeah.
Like, and Negan seems way too interested. He's like, I know you've got paparazzi around the park, right? So I don't know. It just didn't sit well with me. But again, seems to
But
be part of a longer test, probably.
and then all he really accomplishes is he goes into the woods, he gets Waylon killed, except
Mhm.
not as well as he should have. Waylon effectively kills this girl, Joan, and is kind of going toward Herschel, and Negan kills Waylon again. And
Yeah.
then Negan runs
Hmm.
away back to the Croat and says there was an accident, and Waylon's dead. I
Yeah.
couldn't find them. Like, he doesn't actually accomplish anything by going into the woods. What do we even get story wise? What do we learn? What do we learn in any new way about Negan's like motivations or motives? Nothing. I
Right.
feel
We
like.
haven't learned anything. And also, we've also learned that Herschel apparently can't shoot a gun, which seems pretty ridiculous and unlikely. Um,
Yeah, that's another good point. Like Herschel would know. I mean, he's good at knives apparently, but he would know how to handle a weapon like the gun that he has.
I mean, maybe
Um,
he deliberately isn't because he's conflicted, which is possible
and
too.
he also just picked that gun up. It might not be one that he is familiar with, but
Mm.
you know. Um, yeah, so that whole I'm not sure why they wrote that in. They probably just needed like Jeffrey Dean Morgan to have more screen time in that episode, but it doesn't accomplish anything. Like Waylon doesn't need to be killed by Negan. He could have been killed by any of those weird Neanderthal people who live in the cafe. You know,
Yeah.
right? Because
No, that's
apparently
true.
there's more of them out there. And so this is this new faction that we get introduced to. Uh, they're kind of laughable.
Yeah,
They
there's no way these guys would have survived. No
well,
way.
like just in terms of storytelling in The Walking Dead and their like obsession with making these factions distinct in some way.
Yeah, and developing these bizarre rituals and ways of life that they suddenly
Yeah.
forget in like a heartbeat how they survived that long. I
They're
don't know.
like, oh, we live only naturally, and they the like the design team has painstakingly made all these crazy ghillie suits out of
Yeah, I know.
textiles,
I
and
know.
then and the background actors are constantly just walking around like weaving baskets and putting
Yeah,
mushrooms into baskets and stuff. I'm just like, enough already. You guys are just
ridiculous. I know. I
like,
agree.
you know, yeah, it's that was a lot. And it's annoying. It's super. I mean, I also like kind of good writing, but annoying as hell that the major Narvaez is immediately talking to Pearlie like, we can take this group over and like make them part of New Babylon, and then we'll have a stage, a base of operations to take over the city from. Um, Pearlie is like, no, don't do that. But it's absolutely gonna happen. Like we don't see it in these two episodes, but that's 100% gonna happen.
Yeah, but also what good is it? Because this is not exactly like a group that's gonna um really be that much of an asset to you because they don't want to fight and they're
Like
definitely not going to be doing this. Like that's the other thing. Like this is the one huge thing that like when you're out there and out in the world, like you can't force people to do that. And
we can't. I mean, the thing is, that's New Babylon's entire model, and it
yeah,
doesn't
that's what
make
I'm saying.
sense on any level,
Yeah,
right?
on
Like,
any level, this does not make sense.
because later, I forget if it's this one or the fourth episode where Narvaez and Ginny have a conversation, and she's like, "Well, I don't know why you're even here. It's certainly not for New Babylon." I'm like, "Of course it's not for New Babylon. You forced her to come." Basically, I mean, actually, she kind of jumped into the zombie ring with Maggie of her own volition, but she's not there for nobody's there for New Babylon except for Pearlie and Nervaez,
Right,
maybe one or two of these other soldiers who are still alive, who for whatever reason were more loyal, but they have not established any reason why anybody would be loyal to New Babylon.
right. So we got that going on. And then again, I mean, one of the biggest things that like really just drives me absolutely up the wall about any and all of this storytelling and writing is and just Like you have these groups of people that have survived for this long, and in like a heartbeat, they immediately forget their survival instincts. So it definitely bothered me with the Joan, just in how Waylon comes out and so quickly, like this woman has been living in this like whatever area for however long and can't dodge him. Like she just kind of stood there while he attacks her. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I just, these kinds of things are very upsetting to me because it's just like, no, this tells me that there would absolutely be no people left in the middle of this little thing. Nobody's weaving baskets, nobody's doing ghillie suits. Like this is not a viable situation. And similarly, Waylon, like he's a Barassi, he's not dumb, he's on his guard with Negan, tells Negan to go first. He can see the walkers are like, you know, in there
Why would
and
they have gone through that tunnel in the first place?
right, like they just wouldn't have done it. So I like anyway, this is I'm gonna vent a little bit, but this is what's driving me crazy, and it makes it less interesting to watch this story because every time you're kind of taking these turns that are just full of um just like implausible storylines, it makes it just less interesting to watch because basically on a dime they can just make the character that you've watched for so long and they've built up become the like dumbest character on the show and make these unforced errors. And so and sadly with Herschel, the Herschel character, I think that they are really confirming just kind of the pitfalls that they often run into with writing younger characters because his just the way he goes about doing things at least up until the next episode I'm really not rooting for his survival. Like I just think he's annoying. So
Sorry, Herschel's survival?
yeah, like I don't want Herschel to survive.
That's messed up, but okay.
Well, I just don't like he just is not he's not interesting. He's boring. He does not find I do not find him compelling at all. I'm kind of like, well, if he wants to go with Dom, I'll let him. Like he's not there's nothing about him that seems like you really are hoping for a redemption arc for him unless they do something drastic here down the line.
Yeah.
So,
They've been trying to get him to express what how he feels about Negan, and he keeps being like, I don't care. My mom's the only one who cares about this guy. Um, and then he can't like express beyond that why he is so unhappy with his mother. But apparently that has a lot to do with it. Uh, that's kind of, I mean, I don't know. There's not a whole lot to more to talk about in the episode three. It ends with Negan coming back to the Croat, and then like the Croat basically takes his word for it. He's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure that Leyland met it with an accident. There's a lot of accidents happening out here."
I mean,
But
the one
they do a decent job of always having the Croat give people side eye.
yeah, they do. And, I do think he's kind of an interesting character in that he's like he's very weird and hard, but he also likes his pheasant pate, and Negan kind of calls him out on that.
Hmm.
I do like some of the background where like, this is the sort of broken down New York, and they do a pretty good job, like these little alleys looking into the park and things like that. Um, so I think that the setting is kind of interesting. And but the next one, let's see what happens.
So in the fourth episode, they go to the Met.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know the map, but cool.
is this not the Met looking enough for you?
Yeah, no, I don't think they actually filmed in the Met.
No, I don't think they.
I
I don't
think
think
they're
they filmed in New
desperately
York
trying.
at all.
They're trying. I wonder. I did look up. I was like, where did they actually shoot this? But anyway,
But we finally get Kim Coates gets to get some lines. Because here they're trying to woo Bruegel over to their side. And we start off. I feel like it's quite early in the episode that we're all in the car with Dama, the Croat, and Negan. And actually, it even starts with Bruegel petting a rat and then feeding it to something behind a curtain. We assume his big zombie gladiator. Uh, And then we skip to the Croat, Negan, and Dama all going to these peace talks with, or like recruitment talks with Bruegel arriving, and Dama telling Negan, like, hey, keep the Croat in line. He tends to get too emotional and he could screw this whole thing up. And it kind of goes exactly that way. Like
Yeah.
it's just funny that it's not good. It's not well done that in this whole thing, eventually at like the most clutch point in this in these peace talks or dinner scene that they're having, they've sat the Croat right next to Bruegel, whereas Dama's all the way at the end of the table. Like
Hmm.
she's clearly the more powerful negotiator than the Croat. I don't understand why she's like sidelined here. She's his boss. I don't know. I don't know if you had any thoughts about the seating chart. Uh,
Yeah, I mean they were trying to do the Last Supper kind of thing, which is weird. I will also say I stand corrected. Apparently they did film at the Met, though I think the scenes I'm thinking of, I'm like, oh, these are sets too, because obviously they can't do that in the Met. But yeah, they absolutely did some of it there. All right, I take it back. Um, but um, but the seating chart, yeah, it was weird to me given um the political tensions, especially given Dama's comments in the beginning and basically being like, "Hey, you gotta like Croat, you better rein it in," but instead they put him like directly by the guy that he's not supposed to go to. It kind of felt weird, right?
and the guy who's gaslighting him the whole time too,
Right.
who's making fun of his
You
accent.
probably want to take Bruegel and Croat and separate them like little children, right? Um, and I also think that I don't know, Dama is like very, I don't know, she's got a distaste for Bruegel, but I also think given that she needs him, it's odd because she's kind of like telling everybody what to do in terms of like, oh, you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that, but she's not kind of directly being involved. It feels odd, right?
It doesn't, yeah, it doesn't make sense where the power lies in this her side of things, because she has, it seems like she has people. The Croat has his own people too, but they are allied. And yeah, I don't understand it, because then she's not front and center in any of these scenes with Bruegel. She's just kind of like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, so Bruegel is kind of similar to her in that he is old New York and fancy, right? Just same as she was. We also get a little bit of her backstory based on the scribe who has been adopted by her, remembering an article he read about how she was a theater critic who bit a playwright once.
Right, except okay, so I gotta take some issues with this. Just even in talking about her, it's like he's like she ruled the city. Theater critics do not rule the city.
Well,
Take a break. Like even in the before time, no. And he's
he's
like
been wrong about a lot of stuff that he's researched, right?
he has been, but like and I don't know. And you would, but this and how Negan, it is very funny how Negan keeps getting the kid to continue when the kid really should be taking a hint and shut up, but he does not. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Uh,
And she's shooting daggers at him.
yeah. And Pierce is like just not. I mean, his position is tenuous and like he's being carted around in the trunk of a car all the time. So one would think that he would be watching his P's and Q's in this instance, but apparently not. Um, so we get at least a little bit of her background, which still doesn't make me think that she would be capable or have the power, or the cult of personality to have this much influence over anybody. So that's kind of weird. I mean, we knew she had some probably artistic something based upon all the stuff that she's been hinting at over the past few episodes, but um, I don't know. I just thought that this was kind of silly, but.
It was. It was silly. Nika, like, so the talks break down basically because the Croat accuses Bruegel of cheating in the arena, which is how he's amassed all of his fortune, apparently.
Hmm.
the fact that he could have gotten away with this scam as long as apparently
Right?
he has is absurd.
It
In a
is
in a
so many
city of
reasons.
like
So
these
many
like
reasons.
violent tribes who are barely stopping from killing each other at all times, he's
Yeah.
just managed to swoop in and been like, "Yep, this guy's a zombie. Watch him fight your zombie."
Right. And
It's
also
wild.
he apparently the reason why they have the Met is because he won it in a bet
Yeah.
using this amazing walker who doesn't even move like a walker. And you and I called this out. Like we were like, what ex exactly is this? Because it doesn't even make sense. And they do try to like explain a little bit of it by like covering them with human guts to try to goad them into fighting each other. Fine.
But Guts
But
didn't do that when they've done Guts on the show before.
right.
It made zombies ignore other people.
Right. So I don't know if this is supposed to be fresh or whatever, but in
Hmm.
any case, it this doesn't, and even he doesn't even move like a walker, so um, you know. And this eventually leads to the accusations by the Croat that they're like jacking up the walker with methamphetamines or something weird. So he's aware of those kinds of things, but even he doesn't think that I don't think he thinks that the guy is actually alive, which is dumb, because he doesn't even move like a walker. Like even his reflexes, even how he's fighting, there is nothing walker-like about him, and so it just doesn't it does not seem that anybody would be really taken in by this little ploy. But
Would have been cool if they'd basically made it so that they'd found a fancy walker,
right, that's what I
like
thought it was going to be, but nope.
because this show and this franchise has completely fallen down on that promise
Yep.
from season 11. What a
Mm.
drag! Like
Yeah.
that's so disappointing.
Yeah.
All right. But so yeah, Frankenstein, or the zombie gladiator, turns out to be Tony the bodyguard, who Bruegel conveniently delivers a little speech about at this dinner party, which also feels pretty stupid, given that Tony is his ace in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Negan though is like, okay, I'll do a fight with your guy too. And apparently he didn't realize that Tony was alive either at this point. I thought he'd figured it out and that's why he agreed to the fight.
Mm.
But no, he just is like, I'm gonna get that tow truck zombie, make him really slippery, and you know, that's gonna be
Yeah.
my way to win.
I also thought the same thing, but okay. Um, but what this does is allows Maggie and Pearlie to see Negan getting the tow truck zombie. And so they know, and then they come up with this like harebrained scheme to basically talk to Negan in the museum and make themselves super vulnerable and exposed and with a ploy that wouldn't fool anybody. And let's talk about my least favorite part of this whole episode as we get into it. Um, so there's like the whole big thing, the big deal that they make about the painting that um, Bruegel likes, which is the Washington, the classic of him in the boat going to the Battle of Trenton, and they set it on fire to distract them, and then we and apparently only Negan hears this little the whistle that signals to him that, I'm sure he knows who it is or thinks he knows who it is, but maybe he doesn't. But only he can hear the whistle as everybody else is distracted by the fact that this painting has been set on fire, which is Bruegel's favorite. Um, what did you think of that? I was like, are you kidding me? Is that what they're gonna do here?
Yeah. And the Croat was in the Saviors.
Right.
Like
Like,
he wouldn't recognize this. Yeah, that's
right.
dumb. That's pretty dumb.
And then
Uh Also
and then
dumb is like, what was Herschel supposed to be doing during this time? Staying on the roof? Or
staying on the roof, I
did he
think.
have a mission inside the
I
museum?
don't
Because
remember.
it felt like they were like, "Oh, why did it take you so long to get back?" when he finally crawled up there. Yeah. Either way, so Negan is like, "Maggie, look, dude, I'm a prisoner just like, everybody. Herschel also has been turned, and does he tell her where the methane is?
He does. He does.
So that part is coming together, I guess.
But he says
But
it in a loud whisper, and you know who else is really not a good whisperer is Pearlie, who's yelling at him across an echoey chamber.
mhm.
Like from above, it's like, dude, their interactions are really funny because Negan's just like, oh my God, shut up. And that is actually very funny. But this whole thing where he's having this little like quiet conversation in the most echoey room in the freaking world, and and then he's like, oh, hide. And then this massive group of people comes in, and then she's being so not subtle in terms of like hide. Like this whole thing is
She
stupid.
makes direct eye contact with Dama during the
Yes.
scene.
And
And
Dama's
then,
already discovered Herschel at this point. So
yeah.
like, ugh.
So he's got new instructions or whatever it is that it's happened. It's a drag. It's a drag.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, and by the end, Bruegel's like rubbing his fingers together. He's killed Tony because he's like, yeah, now they know that you're alive, so I have to kill you. But I've got new plans to do things.
right.
Even though supposedly he's joined the alliance with no strings attached, it's not going to be that easy for the New York Broadway gang and the Metropolitan Museum of Art gang.
Yeah.
And they've still got to get Christos on board, and he got tased the last time they hung out, so it's probably not going to go well.
Yeah, probably not gonna go
But
well.
frankly, why are they worried? Because New Babylon, it turns out, there's a bunch of idiots and incompetence. So
Yes, they are for sure. Um, and then, we've got the whole the other reveal with Ginny, like basically like sharing that Negan's still alive. That's gonna play into things certainly.
how did Narvaez guess that she said,
I
I'm
don't
here to
know.
kill the man who killed my dad. And
Right.
Narvaez is just like, you mean Negan? Like,
Right.
based on nothing,
Yeah.
she says this.
Agree. Agree. But that's obviously gonna come out, and she's already mad because Pearlie is like not allowing her to take over the swamp people. So you know, so there's that.
Negan
Um,
has also shared with Maggie that his wife and son are in danger. And so I feel like there's at least an opportunity here for Maggie to save them, thereby releasing Negan from his, you know, the situation that he's in.
yeah.
I don't know if it'll go that way. But then again, all the motivations for all these characters is weird.
Well, right. And also, since Herschel is a mole, he knows that Negan gave Maggie this information. So, of course, he's going to probably tell Dama too. So, there's that going on as well. So, there's a lot of Negan intrigue here. Um, and a lot of like, so we'll have to see. I still really like Negan, and I hope that things work out. But he's essentially been, I mean, I'm hoping that it isn't, maybe there's something that we're missing and that this will get a little bit better just with but again, as I said, I just do not care about Herschel. We have one little scene between him and Maggie that's actually somewhat um telling, which is, her basically talking to him about the Firefly thing that they've always been talking about and getting his side of it, which, is new. And it does, give some insight into how it must have been for him as a little kid dealing with her grief and not understanding it, and also not really not necessarily thinking that he's processing that or taking that in, and her actually asking what his experience is. So that's a new thing. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of a like repair of their relationship. But um I don't know. I think right now I'm just sort of like slogging through, shambling through. So we'll see what happens. This whole thing, the room with them, their little like meetup just almost threw me over the edge, though, I gotta admit. So,
It's been a frustrating watch. Wish it
yeah,
was better.
but we'll continue on because we're dedicated. So, if you watched and you feel like there's things we're missing or we're being too harsh, let us know. Send us an email at theanimatedpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Any other things to add, Stuart?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. We'll be back next time. Holidays are here. Not sure when the next time will be, but we'll figure something out and we will try to wrap up the second half of this season. There are 8 episodes total. We are halfway through.
Yeah, and in the good news category, from tomorrow onward, it gets a little lighter every day. So that's good. So thanks so much for listening. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.